to everybody. We're so excited to be here.
We are. And Lexi, tell everyone how you're feeling today.
I'm feeling so hungover right now. I asked Holly, I was like, do you think it's a really bad idea if I drink a beer during this episode? Because I tried to sleep in, I worked out. Oh, hold on.
Lexi, tell
it's echoing in the background. Okay.
Close out your Facebook.
I know. So I'm not drinking a beer because I have to drive after this, so I'm being responsible. But if my energy level isn't, where it usually is, my voice a little bit hoarse, because I'm nearing 29 and I can't do this anymore.
So were you doing a lot of screaming last night?
Well, yeah, we did a wide range of things. We went ice skating. We went to a bar.
Your voice not there.
I don't know. I was just really excited, I guess. Like all my friends were there. I was just like super happy. And also, wait, this is a side note. How does my audio sound to you? Because somebody said to me the first time that your audio sounded really good, but mine was bad.
Okay, so
anybody's watching.
This is my sexy microphone voice.
Oh, are you using your microphone right now?
I am. So maybe that's why my audio is
okay.
A little bit better.
I didn't know you were using your microphone.
Well, why wouldn't I?
All right, I'll okay, next time
microphone?
No, I don't. I have this, but it doesn't
Your microphone from China that makes you
it's out of batteries now though, so I'll have to replace it. Yeah. It's sad, but okay.
Microphone.
The next time I do this, I'll use headphones or something so people can hear me better. In the meantime, I'll scream.
Or just get like a Yeti or something for like $50-$60.
Okay, I'll get a Yeti.
Or maybe not a Yeti, whatever microphone you want. I have a Yeti. I like it. I've heard from my podcast friends, though, that a Yeti isn't the best microphone to get if you're doing a podcast, but I've had this for like a year and a half when I first started. I got just really easy business tools, like nothing too expensive. Although my Diva light, I guess, is a little expensive.
Yeah. Light though. Use it all the time. So it's fine.
Have, which is not plugged in, my Logitech camera. It was like $60 or something like that. Maybe the Yeti was a little bit more, but and then I have my Yeti, and then I have my Diva light, and that's about it. Oh yeah, my MacBook.
I'm sharing this to my timeline right now too. I'm just gonna say talking about periods, and that's it.
Period.
That's it. Whatever. People, I'll change it out.
Period.
Exactly. So today we are talking about all things period, because that seemed to be a really hot topic from the last episode where we're kind of just sharing about all these different things that we wanted to talk about, and peeps want to know about periods. So
they do.
Yeah.
And I guess we're period experts because we both have had our periods for decades.
Oh, fuck. You know what I meant to do? I meant to go find my Diva cup.
Oh, you're going to show that thing?
I was going to show it. Maybe that'll be a different episode. Maybe I'll do like a how-to in another time.
I think I can handle taking the stage for a minute. I know how to talk. And if you want to run and grab it.
I think I know where it is.
Make sure it's clean, though.
Yeah. Of course. Okay.
Okay, so while Lexi is going to go get her Diva cup to show everyone, there's a couple things that you guys, we wanted to talk about today. We want to talk about my perspective versus Lexi's perspective on Diva cups, and like what we use and what we recommend when it's your time of the month and the products that we like. And we also want to talk about like the difference of our opinions. Like she is very believing in the Diva cup one way, and I am very opposite on the Diva cup, and we want to share our story why. And then Lexi is so magical when it comes to like really understanding. Oh my God, I can't even, it's like, I'm a little embarrassed for you that you're showing this, but that's okay. Like, you guys, this is This was in Lexi's vagina. And this is as close as you're going to get to Lexi's vagina.
It's clean. I cleaned it. So, like, it's fine.
Okay, so that is actually part of the reason that I am a non-Diva cupper is the whole cleaning process, which really freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you really clean it? Like, how do you make sure that it is sanitary and just, you know, because you're taking it in and out, you're touching it.
Totally. This is a really good question, Holly. You just never clean. No, I'm just kidding. So people do different things. It really depends, like what you want to do with it. Some people will just use really hot water. Some people put in the dishwasher. Some people will like use like some like type of like dish soap, like or whatever on it. Some people will use some like lemon oil with like some like coconut oil to like kind of make it not as harsh and clean it that way. Like there's a lot of different ways you can clean it. Google's a good friend too if you want to find like a different way that's going to work for you, but you can find the way that's going to work best for you. Rest assured.
So I had a friend who had a Diva cup, and she was talking about how she used to boil it and clean it, and it really freaked me out because I'm like, oh, so if you ever have me over for like a spaghetti dinner, like you are boiling your bloody Diva cup in a pot, and then you're gonna like make spaghetti for me. And then you want me to eat that? Like, that would get me out.
You could have a separate, like, what's the word?
A pot?
Pot, thank you. A separate pot for it. It could be your Diva pot.
Okay, but then where do you, like, keep that? Like, what if you have a guest in your house, and then they, like, grab it, and they're making your kids mac and cheese?
Honestly, it's totally fine. Like, back in the day, women would put their period blood in men's food to lure them. Truth. So you'll just have guests who are, you know, lured to you now. I told Jake that because I forget what I was reading. I was reading some book and I was talking about that. I was like, Jake, I'm going to put some of this in your food. He's like, that's just disgusting. Like, I was like, oh, okay.
So my other issue is, and we had somebody comment this on our Facebook page, so I don't know if anyone saw it, and my biggest fear about the Diva cup, like my beyond like spaghetti dinners, are what if you're out in public and you drop it?
And someone confirmed in the comments of our video that that happened to them and it was like a murder scene.
Oh my God, like I think she said she was at Target. So you're doing your errands, you're running around, you think you're all good with your cup, you go to the bathroom, you're just gonna like, oh, okay. So that's another issue. Like you're in the bathroom, like dumping it out and then putting it back in. Like there's no way to rinse it. So you have to like go out of the stall. Like
no. Pause.
And
Pause.
like,
Okay. So you have your little cup. And if you dump it, it just gets dumped out, and you just put it back in after that. You don't have to.
Know, but that seems like unsanitary to me.
It's not unsanitary because like this was sitting up there anyway. Like it was touching the blood anyway, right? You're like, it's not going to kill you. You're good.
I know, but then you're taking out and you're exposing it to public bathroom germs, and
that's like saying like you're opening up a tampon and it's like exposed to public bathroom germs and you're sticking it up you. It's the same thing. Same thing.
I think the thing that I'm like non-Diva cup about is I just don't feel clean with it.
See, it feels cleaner to me.
Really? Okay.
I know it sounds really weird because I literally used to think people who did this were freaks. I was like, this is so fucking weird. Like never will I ever. I'd make fun of people. I'd be like, whoever does that, like, I'm not going to talk to them. I'm associating myself.
You're not going to talk to them. If you Diva cup, I will not talk to you.
So let me know in the comments if you've ever used a Diva cup, give me a 1. If you've never used it but you're open to it, give us a 2. And if you've never used it and you're like, I won't talk to you, I hate this, like Holly, give us a 3.
I don't hate anyone or anybody.
Right, strong words. You hate the Diva
and
cup.
I would never defriend somebody because they're a Diva cup user. I am just at this point in my life, I'm very like just not into it, and that's fine. So So we were talking about the murder scene.
Yeah.
In a public bathroom, you go to empty your cup and the worst of the worst happens. And you have a full cup that's now all over you, all over the floor, maybe over the person in the stall next to you, depending
Oh my God.
like, depending on how hard you drop it. Like, that could happen. Like,
I mean, I guess it could happen.
it does happen. It does happen.
Holly, this is going to be you. You're going to be in the bathroom one day and someone's going to drop their Diva cup and it's going to get all over you.
No, I am not manifesting that. Like, take that back. I retract those
Cancel,
words.
clear, delete. Yeah.
Can you, like, put some stage on that?
Well, people are curious, too. They want to, I'm, like, just squeezing in, having fun playing with it over here. They want to know, like, what's the cost of it? Like, what's the deal? So the cost of it is, like, anywhere from $30 to $40, which seems like, okay, that's pricier than tampons, but like think about how many tampons you go through. Like this can last you for a very, very long time, years and years and years if you don't lose it.
Do you have more than one?
I only have one. But again, I've just started using them. So it's like not, I'm like still feeling it out. Like there are some things that like I really like, and then some things like I feel like you can feel it a little bit more than you can feel a tampon. Which can be, I mean, like in certain situations. So that can be a little annoying, but I do like how, like it lasts longer. Like, so tampons, I find like you have to change more often. This, like, not so much. I don't know. Tampons are like,
Cotton?
I think, what? No, I know, but I'm like just trying to think because like I think like like in some ways tampons are more like messy and gross in like some way. I don't know. But another thing people were curious about is like removal because they were like, oh my God, it took me hours, which I didn't find. Like I feel like if you know your vagina, you should be able to like stick your fingers up there and like get it out. So like let's just get to know our vaginas a little bit more, stick our fingers up there more often maybe. But I thought putting it in was more difficult because like look, like that, like you have to like kind of like roll it and then stick it up, which is like an interesting thing to do. But then when you take it out, like you literally just like shorter nails are better, but there's like these little grips and you just like pull it out. I don't know why people are struggling so much with it.
So it's like that little tab at the bottom is kind of like the tampon string.
Right, exactly. And so like a tampon string might be hanging out like lower, but so like it's just like you kind of insert a little bit and you grab it and you
What was Do you make that noise when you take
Yes, I do. I find it really helps. So if you're not doing the noise, that's probably why it's hard to take out.
Do you have a sound bite for that you could sell on like Spotify?
You know what? I should look into it. I will. I'll look into it.
Because we are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, why not? So that's a little, you know, overview of this Diva Cup. Any other questions for now?
The putting in process seems a little scary. The taking out process seems a little scary to me. Have you ever dropped it?
I haven't. Because like when you're taking it out, like I'm like trying to like simulate. you just pull straight down, you get a good grip on it. It's like, okay. You hold it. Like, yeah, I guess you could drop it when you're holding it, but like if you're like trying to do many things at once, I could see how that would happen. But otherwise, like, you know, really be intentional about the process and I think you'll be okay. Carry wipes with you or something, or like
really visualize how the situation is gonna go well.
As with anything, like in our business, when we visualize, just visualize the process going really smoothly, really seamlessly.
So how has the Diva Cup helped you in your life and your business?
How's it helping my life and my business? I mean, that's a loaded question, or a weird question. It's just changed my life. I'm a new person now. I can't say that it's really changed my life or my business that drastically, other than I have a fun conversation piece to talk about now.
So it's kind of like you can leave it on your coffee table.
It's a good converse. I mean, maybe not the coffee table, because again, like
Your dogs, that would be bad.
my dogs would definitely eat it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I encourage everybody to like give
Try
it a shot. Like at least then you can have, you know, your own opinion. But if you haven't gone through something, you can't really give a true opinion.
Or you can just be like me and be scared of it and stay
get
away
you
from
one for
it.
your birthday. It's gonna be great.
No, please don't. Okay, so I'm in the process of switching over to organic tampons because I've obviously been reading up on everything and, you know, they're better for me. But because of my diagnosis with polycystic ovarian syndrome, I have super, super, super heavy periods.
Yeah.
And after I had my son, it went from like a normal, like kind of heavy period to like nothing could control it. Like I would literally wake up in the middle of the night and it looked like a murder scene.
Yeah.
And it was so terrible. And it was because of the polycystic ovarian syndrome. And it was like so embarrassing. And my poor husband, he was like so sweet about it. But like I ruined like so many sheets until I like figured it all out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm like, I just have to do something different. And I would get these like these overnight pads that were like felt like you're wearing a diaper and it still wouldn't even like work for me. And now that I have my period more under control, I don't have that problem anymore. But I just remember like being at a point where I'm like, I'll do anything, try anything. Like I had to change a tampon or whatever, like every less than an hour, like every like 40 minutes, an hour. Otherwise, like it would just go over. And that's like not a fun way to live.
No.
So like, I guess I maybe would have considered it back like maybe like a year ago when I was going through all this is just, okay, give me something. This is my last resort. As opposed to like loading up on pads or doing
totally. So I think there's like the reacting and being proactive too, right? So like reacting is like, oh, like I'll try these pads or I'll do this or whatever, but being proactive or doing something differently about it is, I really think that a lot of things can be healed like holistically. Mm-hmm. And so I know a lot of people who have had PCOS, like they have just learned how to like work with their cycle and get their hormones in balance. And it's not like, oh, poof, done. No. Not at all. Like it's a journey.
Huge learning curve because I didn't know better. I wasn't educated on it.
Yeah, but I think like, you know, we're so quick to go to the doctors and they're like, oh, you got PCOS, you're screwed, like you're fucked for life. And like, it's like, or like, let's put you on the pill because like that will cure it. But it's like, that's just a Band-Aid. That's not getting to the root of the problem here. So if anybody is dealing with any of this type of stuff, the book Woman Code by Lisa Vitti is great. Love Your Lady Landscape by, oh my gosh, how am I blanking on her last name or her name right now?
We can link it. We'll link it.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of different books that we can link up to that are really amazing for getting to understand your cycle, working with it. Claire Baker is an amazing person who has like a lot of cycle stuff going on. Yeah, but it's like, it's crazy what happens when you actually pay attention because so many of us as women, we like only know about like our period and like that part of our cycle, whereas like we are going through our cycle every single day. But I know until, you know, the last like couple years, like I had no fucking clue or awareness around like what was going on. Like maybe about ovulation because I was scared to get pregnant, like, but like otherwise like totally oblivious. And so I think like we need to be educated on our bodies and what's going on. And so I'm very, very passionate about this. And I don't know, what should I talk about?
Yeah, what do you feel inspired to talk about? Because I always look to you when I have like hormone questions or cycle questions or I mean, just getting an explanation of like what's going on with my mood and my body. And you're like such a great resource for that. So maybe like a hormone one-on-one, 101.
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
So
hormone program.
I have a cycles like workshop, which I'll be the first to say, like, I am not like a doctor. I am not going to like try and give you any medical advice here or anything like that. I also approach this more from like a psychological standpoint and like spiritual emotional perspective. So when I look at and like I talk about like the different hormones, like what's happening at each phase of your cycle, but I feel like that can be a little bit overwhelming, and a really easy way to approach it is to look at the seasons. So if you start with like with getting your period is typically like the winter season. So it's like when things are like dying, you're going internally, and it's like it can be scary and dark and whatever, but like that's winter. Then spring is like right before like pre-ovulation, like it's sort of like this like fun and like starting to become more fertile type of phase. And then ovulation is like summer, where you're like, woo, out and about, and like, and like you are ready to
your bikini, you're ready to mingle.
You're horny, you're ready to go.
I think we need to insert some genuine lyrics in here.
Yeah, exactly. And then the fall is with like kind of associated with PMS and like right before you're getting your period. And these all have archetypes associated with them. So fall correlates to like the wild woman sorceress archetype. And it's like, you have like no filter at this stage, like you say what's on your mind and like you don't care, and so each phase has like a different flavor to it, and there's different activities and things that you can be doing, different ways of having sex that are good for each phase of the cycle, ways of exercising, ways of eating. It's really fascinating to see how you can start to, in like ways of working too. So like just for an example, if you were to be having like a talk or a retreat or something like that, you wouldn't want to do it during your period. You'd want to do it during like ovulation, because like that's when you're most social. That's when people like are most receptive to you. If you're writing a book or you have a course and you want to be in like that editing phase, you want to do it in the fall phase, or like where the wild woman is, because she nitpicks and finds every little detail. And if you're looking to do like the deep inner work, like that's during your period, like it's resting, it's reflecting, it's journaling. And then if you're looking to like start a new project and you want to brainstorm and like get all these like exciting juices going, like that's the spring phase. So it's,
I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot more there, but yeah.
I absolutely love that, because sometimes we like it. Okay, so because of everything medically that I had going on, and I have hypothyroidism, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and because I was at a point where my uterine walls were so thick that I had to go on birth control for a couple months to let that like all come out and the hormones balance more. And it was just the most practical choice for me at that time, because they were talking about having me go through a DNC and do all these things. And I was like, well, let's see what else we can do. So after, I think my uterine walls were, gosh, I'm totally going to butcher this, but I think they're supposed to be 2 centimeters thick or something like that. And mine were like 20 something. So there was like some crazy heavy periods flowing because of that. And when like I finally got that under control, and now I'm off birth control, and I'm way happier off birth control, I'm finding that my period is not regular. So it's coming like totally random. So do you have any like insight on that? Somebody who, I mean, when I was on birth control for those 2 months, it was regular. But then before that, ever since my diagnosis, and my hormones have been super wacky. And then now I have no idea when it's coming. And I don't have like a calendar date anymore.
Yeah. So it's interesting, because I find that like there could be so many things here. So it completely depends on the situation. It could be because of like diet. It could be because of like lifestyle. It could be because of
stress or
stress, or there's like another underlying medical condition that's going on. So it's like, who knows? But I also, generally speaking, find that when women like take the time to like just notice and be present with what's going on. So it's like, okay, just got my period. Like, how am I feeling? Like keeping like a journal almost and recording it and being just like very aware, and start to develop like a relationship with their cycle, as weird as that sounds.
You have a name for your period?
I don't have a name for it.
Okay, because Michael and I call her Auntie Flo, and that's not like really original or whatever. But it was so funny because I felt like for the longest time, my husband knew my period schedule more than me, because like right around the time where I would start to like feel, you know, my like boobs starting to hurt or whatever, he'd be like, is Auntie Flo here yet? And I'd be like, okay, periodtracker.com. Like,
that's really funny.
He's like, no more babies, no more babies.
That's amazing. Yes, like I think like just paying attention to it can be good. There are also certain like essential oils and things that you can start to weave into your everyday life that like helps with your cycle, helps to regulate, helps with the production of like certain types of hormones. And so like there's so many things that you can look at, and of course it has to feel right for you and like your beliefs around like
for sure.
whatever. But yeah, irregular cycles happen for all sorts of reasons. So
do you have any apps that you recommend for people who are like me and just need that reminder or that?
Yeah. So there are two, but the one that I use is called Eve. So it's basically, it's a period tracking app where, let me show you. So it's like in 5 days, that's when your next period's going to be. And you can complete like a health log each day. I don't do that. I personally have an Evernote document like where I kind of record things, but it like kind of gives you this little cycle scope. So it's like, hey girl, your body is producing an impressive amount of endorphins right now, which means you may have a higher pain threshold. If you're due for a dentist visit, where we're talking about this, or Brazilian, now's the time to get it done.
Or an eyebrow microplaning, which it was the worst time for me to go. And if I would have had an app like that and known that that is not a good day for me, I probably would have gone on that day, because that was some intense pain.
Yeah, and it's helpful to know because so you can see like that's when I'm in last period. You can write in notes. And so like maybe like a year or two ago, I noticed that I was starting to get like this pain in my like right side, and I was getting it frequently, but I wasn't really matching it up with my cycle. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, am I dying? Like, oh. And so then yeah, exactly. So then finally, like, I started to realize like, oh my gosh, this happens around like the 16th of each month, which is like also like when I'm supposedly ovulating. Like, oh, like this is correlate. Oh, I'm ovulating. Okay. Like this is why I'm feeling this. So like there's just a lot of things that when you track your cycle, you start to realize these patterns or these things that are taking place. And it's really fascinating.
That's so good. In my house, like I don't know if I've told you this story, but it's kind of funny. So my kids, I have a 3 and 5-year-old, and we're so open with them. Like I try to be so open with my kids, because I was never that person that called like my vagina like a nickname. Like my vagina was my vagina. Like I have literally friends that like growing up, they called it like a koozie. And I'm like, what the fuck, koozie? Like you put it on your beer? Like it's a vagina. Call it what it is.
That's great.
So my kids have like adapted their own form of that word. So like when I've always talked about like vaginas with Braylon, she like maybe couldn't say vagina. So then she started calling it hergina. And then when I was like talking to Kaden about his penis, he took that and interpreted it as his peanut.
I know, it's so cute.
So, I mean, if there's any moms in here, comment, because you know.
Yeah, what are your kids calling their penis?
What are your kids calling their privacy parts, as we say it in our house? And like, what are some funny things that have happened? So my kids, as you know, when you're a mom, and you might have this with the dogs, like you don't have a second for yourself. So when I go to the bathroom, my whole family comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one day I was like in the bathroom and then I look up and there's my 2 kids, both of my dogs, and my husband walks in. I'm like, you guys, like, come on. But because my kids are around me a lot, they see what goes on in the bathroom. And that was actually really good for potty training to like show them everything. But then obviously things happen and I have my period. So then they see that too. And they ask a lot of questions. So instead of me hiding that or like not talking about it because blood is scary for kids, I explained to them that mommy, my vagina is bleeding because I don't have a baby in my tummy. So about 2 years ago, Braylon was like 2.5. We drop her off at daycare and she walks in and she screams, my mommy has a bleeding vagina. She was so proud of me.
That's so good. I remember when you shared that with me, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what my children say.
And I was like, oh, yeah, you know, like
I do.
A lot of parents are very uncomfortable talking about that kind of stuff. And Caden knows too. Caden's 3 and he's known like ever since he was little that like mommy's vagina bleeds and that's totally okay and normal and she doesn't have a baby in her tummy. And then when he was like maybe 2 or something, I have a drawer of tampons. So he would like go and like he'd see me go to the bathroom and he'd open the drawer and he'd go, mommy, is your vagina bleeding? Do you want a tampon?
Oh my God, like that's so cute.
It was so sweet. And he'll still do that. Like he'll come in the bathroom and he'll like see me on the toilet or something. Like, is your vagina bleeding? Like, do you need that?
That is like the most amazing.
I'm good now, but thank you. Like that's really sweet.
I think that's so important though, because there's just such like a stigma and like this taboo thing around like, oh, you have your period, and like you have to go pick up like tampons at CVS. It's like, oh, it's embarrassing. Like I have tampons. It's like, but who fucking cares? Like this is such a normal.
It's so normal and so natural. And I'll be interested to how that like interpretates out to their friends or school. Like if that leaves our house, which like that's like that fine line. It's like be open and honest with your kids, but not everyone else is available and ready to hear that. So I don't know if I'm going to get calls if Kaden goes up to one of his teachers and asks him if their vagina's bleeding or what's going to happen. But I am really a big believer of being honest with my kids, and I don't tell them everything. I mean, there's obviously like levels of of like censorship there. But like Braylon, you know, she's 5. She's asking like, mommy, how did I get in your tummy? And like, I will just give her like a really easy answer. Like, you know, mommy and daddy, we really wanted a baby. So we got a baby. Like, so, and that answer is like totally okay for her right now. And like, sometimes I say, well, how did it get in there? Like we just prayed. We prayed because because
I love this.
Because, okay, so she's in a Catholic kindergarten right now because it's just, I'm not Catholic. Michael is. But that was a really good school, and she actually missed the deadline by a day, and I wanted her to be in kindergarten, so they accepted her into the kindergarten program. So the next year she'll go to the public school. So she'll talk a lot about like praying and Jesus, and she'll come home and she'll say all these things. So it's like an easy out for me right now. She's like very, you know, she has that around her right now about like, you know, God and Jesus and all that stuff right now. So it's really easy for me to say, well, you know, Jesus wanted mommy and daddy to have a baby. Like God wanted me to, you know.
I can only imagine her being like, hey, like I've been praying to God and I don't have a baby. Like, why isn't that, Mom?
Oh, she knows. She already knows. She knows that when she grows up, she's going to be a mommy and a doctor, and she's going to have a daughter, and her daughter's name is going to be Mia. And she is not changing diapers. She's going to make her husband do all of that. Like she told me. And she told me she is not kissing her boyfriend.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to hold her accountable to that.
That's amazing. That's so funny though. But I just think it's so good, especially for them to just like know it's normal, and for your son to just be like, if he has a girlfriend, or if he has like friends who are girls, or wife, children, whatever, who are girls and get periods, it's like, oh, this is normal. It's not something to freak out about. And little things like that go a long way. So.
And I think like when you don't tell them what's going on and they see it, it makes them scared, or it makes it taboo, or it makes it like wrong or bad.
Totally.
And I think addressing it is like, okay, like this is what happens. It's totally normal. And as they go through school and they see maybe, you know, something happen, or they hear about something, I think that's how you can stop things like bullying, and you can stop things like, you know, making people feel bad about that kind of stuff when you educate. So I'm really passionate about just like being as honest as a 3 and 5 year old can handle things, but being super honest. So if you guys in the audience, if you have kids, if you're watching, listening, and you have a funny story about like periods or kids, or you have any opinions on what we're talking about, we would love to hear from you guys too.
Share it with us in the comments, please. And so a couple people asked a couple things. Let me just go. I put them in an email somewhere so I can go.
Awesome.
One was around, let me see if I can find it. I don't know. It was something like about, okay, yeah. She said, I'd love to learn how to leverage the time during my period for something positive. As of right now, it's basically all cramps, standing underwear, and wanting to punch things. So I think that's a good question, because a lot of times we're told to like push through it and like whatever. And everybody's schedule is different. Like not everybody's going to be able to do this in an ideal world. But if you are an entrepreneur, if you have the time and space to do something like this, I typically schedule my calendar for the days that I think I'm going to be getting my period, and I do not schedule any calls for that day. Like,
that's super smart.
Nothing. Like as much as I can. Like it's, Jake jokes around. He's like, "This is your time of worship." I'm like, "Yeah, it's my time of worship," but for myself to worship myself as well. And I've noticed what a huge difference that's made for me to just have, like, the time and space to like take a nap and curl up if I need to, like take a hot bath, like not having to be on a call or go somewhere or whatever. And again, I know that that's not always realistic for people. Some people have kids and they have to like do things, but if you can delegate, if you can hire like a babysitter to come and watch your kids for just a couple of hours, so you can just have like that time to be with yourself and just like sort of like take a break, or even if it's just 15 minutes during the day to just acknowledge it and like do whatever you got to do for self-care. But it can really be as big as like take the whole day off and do nothing, to like make sure you're just being intentional about some of that time. I think that that's really important. And then in terms of like cramps, oh my God, they were debilitating, and this sounds like so insane, but the more I would push through it, the worse they would be. And when I'd finally just be like, okay, like I'm going to feel the pain, or I'm going to like just relax with it and like know that this is happening, it's like it lessened. It's like your body's like screaming at you to just like chill out, take a break, rest, because like anything, even just in our regular like day-to-day cycle, we need that time of sleep and rest in order to function. And so our period is the time for us to take a break, relax, stop. So for the rest of our cycle, we can have the energy to like perform and do all these awesome things. So without the resting, you're kind of fucking yourself up for the remainder of the cycle. And in terms of cramps, like what's a huge game changer for me, so easy. It's like literally just taking a little bit of fractionated coconut oil and my peppermint, putting it on my stomach, putting a heating pad over it, and it's like, it's basically like the pain is reduced insanely insane amounts. So yeah. Do you have any tricks or tips for period cramps or anything? Like, what do you do? You're like, head down, Advil.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree about resting and like listening to your body, because I used to be like you, where I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've gotten my period since I was really young. Like I matured very quickly, and I had my period like 11, 12 years old, which now is not like young at all. But when I was having my period, people were getting them later. And it was just, you know, I've had this, I've had it my whole life. Like pretty much I just have to deal with it. Like this is just what you do. You push through and life has to go on, and family and friends and activities and kids and all that kind of stuff. And when I started really just like paying more attention, like, okay, I have my period. I kind of feel shitty. I'm going to rest. I'm going to like just watch a movie. I'm just going to like rest and just allow myself to be lazy, and that's okay. Like that's not a negative. And also like heating pads, that's been like really good for me. Oh, and one of the things that I love to do is, because I'm a busy mom, like sometimes it's hard for me to get out of the house and go get a massage because I love massages. So I have a friend who's a massage therapist, and she comes to my house. She brings her table, and there's actually an app for this. Like if you don't know somebody, that you can go on the app. I don't even know what the name is, but there is an app that you can schedule someone to come to your house and give you an in-home massage. So there's really no excuse. Like you can't be too busy to say that, because they'll literally come after you put your kids to bed, which that's what I do. Instead of taking that time away from them and like sleeping off during the day, or like feeling, you know, whatever. It's like my nighttime is like my sanctuary time. It's like, okay, the kids are sleeping. It's for like me. It's for me and Michael or whatever. So I actually have a massage scheduled for Thursday night, which I'm super excited about, because this is going to be kind of a hard week for me. Because Michael's in Arkansas. He left this morning. He comes back Friday, and then he's home for the weekend. And then I think he leaves for Florida on Monday, and he's gone till Friday. So I'm pretty much going to be on my own with my kids and my life and everything that goes in between for 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a massage. But massage has like been huge for me when I've had my period. And like after having kids, everything just changed. It really did. My body, my cycle, like everything. So just like talking to my doctor about those changes to make sure that they're normal, because I did not know they were not normal. I thought, and that's how I like got this whole diagnosis. And that's when like things started getting better after I now know like what's really wrong with me, and I'm working on healing that. What happened was after I had Caden, I nursed him for about 8.5 months. And like a year or two later, my body was still producing milk. Like I'd be in the shower and I'd be like, and it would like still come out. And I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. Like you probably get deserted on a strand, like on a deserted island with me, like, cause I could feed everyone. Like I could make jokes. Like I'd be like, hey, Michael, you want some extra protein? Like, and I didn't realize that there was something not right with my body. I just thought that like, okay, because I had Braylon, I nursed her for almost a year, like 9.5 months. And then I had Kate, and I nursed him for a long time. So, and I got pregnant pretty much back to back. So I just was like, okay, my body is just catching up. And it turns out the moment that I just like kind of casually mentioned something to my doctor that I was still able to produce milk, immediately she's like, no, there's something wrong with that. And she told me that it was either something with my thyroid, or there was some kind of something going on with my pituitary gland. So that's when I started getting the tests and the blood work and the ultrasounds, and that's what uncovered my PCOS, and that's what uncovered my thyroid issue. And then since then, things have been better. But I didn't realize that was even a problem. I'm like, oh, it's funny. Like, oh, it's no big deal. Right. It wasn't a big thing. It was just like, oh, everyone, like, you know, in the shower, basically. It wasn't like I was squirting. Which that really does happen when you have kids. Like you literally can squirt.
From your boob, not your
boob. Okay. I don't know about squirting from your vagina, but I've heard lots of jokes about it, and maybe seen a video or two. But I do not know about vagina squirting.
Okay, so we're talking about boob squirting for now.
Yes. Have you ever squirted from your vagina? Like,
no, I don't believe I have. But it's something that I'm curious about looking into more.
Are those like hashtag vagina goals?
Like kind of. Yeah, I'm sure by the end of the year it'll happen. in my sex and relationship course. So yeah.
You can actually like learn how to squirt.
Oh my God, you can learn how to do so many things with vagina. Yeah.
Okay, if anyone wants us to talk about this more, put in the comments because it's an interesting topic.
If you want to learn how to, then just let me know.
If you want to follow Lexi's squirting journey on Instagram, follow her.
Maybe not on Instagram, but we'll talk about it on here. Because like same difference. Yeah, great. Yeah, no, but it's crazy. And I think that this is also why talking about this stuff is so important to like make other people aware, like, oh, like I'm still squirting out of my boobs right now, like after a year or two, like this isn't normal. Like, okay, I'm gonna have this conversation. But your health is so important. I think like better safe than sorry. If you are like, oh, this is weird, yeah, like go talk to somebody, go to your doctor, go to your holistic care practitioner, whatever it is that you do. But yeah, your body speaks to you in its symptoms. And so usually there's stuff going on internally that we don't even know about, and it manifests in certain symptoms. That's at the point where like something's wrong. So listen to your body.
And I was like, I'm healthy. I'm fine. I feel pretty fine. Like, okay, I was having, like my symptoms were heavy fatigue. Like I was feeling really tired, and then heavy periods. And I was finding myself, it was a really hard time, like losing weight, and I was gaining weight very easily. And like all these things, like you can make an excuse for. You can be like, oh, I'm getting older. Oh, I've had 2 kids. Oh, you know, my body has changed. My hormones are changed. There's so many excuses that I was just like running through my head. Like, oh, because there was always something that could like explain it. And I felt like pretty okay. Like I was healthy, you know? So I didn't really think that it was a big deal until like I just mentioned that one thing, which triggered everything else being discovered. So yeah, definitely like and looking back on it, I was in business building mode, and just, you know, my kids were a lot younger, so things were harder, and I was like in survival mode, just like making it through the day. Like not so much worried about myself and I was worried about myself and my health, but I'm like, I'm fine. So like now I know to like listen to and ask more questions, and to like be like, oh, is this normal? And I even like remember Googling it and not even like seeing any big red flags come up.
Interesting. So don't always trust Google. Good lesson.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so happy that I discovered that, because it's given me an explanation for so many things.
Yeah.
So now I'm like taking on your voice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like mine's getting better. So thanks.
You just like swap there.
I love it. Anything else that you want to cover?
Is there anything else that our people were asking about, or any comments that you can see on with us?
Let me check. I feel like we covered like a lot of the things that people were curious about. Let's see. Comment. Let us know if you have any questions. And of course, if you're watching the replay, let us know as well, because we can message you back in the comments. And we can also, let's see. Oh, okay. There's a lot of comments. Molly is saying Diva Cup is a must. But I don't know if she's used it. She just freaking drops out of you. Kristen says I use disposable cups. Oh, interesting. You might like those. That could be the gateway.
I don't think I can do it. I think it's the same fears of me. Well, maybe it takes away the spaghetti dinner thing, but like, you know, sanitizing it. But I think.
She says she has PCOS too, and she's never leaked through a cup.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Good to know. Molly says Lisa Lister, yes, is the author of Love Your Lady Landscape. Yes, exactly. What is a cup made of? Silicone. Pretty sure. Yeah. It's made in Canada, it says. So, so in case you guys want to know, it's made in Canada. Silicone.
What about like the health benefits of the cup and the chemicals and things like that versus a tampon or
Yeah.
pad?
So,
Like,
I
do you
mean,
know about that?
yeah, so like normal tampons like that are like sold in CVS and stuff like that. They actually like have like chemical shit in them basically that makes you bleed more, which is fucked up. And I remember like my period cramps also lessened after I stopped using those tampons because if you're being like made to bleed more, like obviously that's more painful. So, yeah, and I mean, like, I just think that, like, it's like I mean, this is a foreign object in your body too, right? But anything that's like like this is totally fine, totally safe for internal use, but anything that like has any type of like chemicals or synthetics or whatever, like, I don't want to be sticking that up my vagina. So if I do use tampons, like organic, like cotton ones from Whole Foods or there's also Lola, I think, is the tampon company that you can get. That's Gucci. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really important because I am like, I used to not do organic tampons, and I'm in the process of finding the right one for me with my heavy flow. So if you have any suggestions, and like, do you use the ones with the applicator or without?
With.
Okay. I feel like applicators are my friend too.
Yeah.
And so the organic tampons don't have the chemicals in it that make you bleed more.
Right.
Okay. And what about
There's a
pads?
way more scientific way of explaining this. Like if you were
That's okay. We're not here as scientists. We're just here as Lexi and Holly.
Yeah, exactly. This is not medical advice.
We are disclaimer.
We are not doctors. At all. But yeah, I feel like, if there are any other questions or follow-ups that we can answer, let us know. But it's just important to know about your cycle and what's going on inside of your body.
Absolutely. And if you haven't grabbed our guide, the 5 pillars to living the sparkly unicorn life, you need to do that because it is so good. It is so good. We're going to go through on a video that Lexi and I made. So you get to see more of our pretty faces and hear more of like what we have to say about the 5 things that we both have in common that allows us to run the business and life that we are both obsessed with individually. And then we're like, oh, you do that? You do that? Oh, you do that. Yeah. Okay. So then we're going to talk about all about that in the video. So to grab that, you can go to, is it bit.ly/the sparkly unicorn life. And we'll go ahead and link that too. So if you have not grabbed that, you need to. It is good. And we also have the story on how we met, how we came together, our love story. You can read all about that too once you grab that free guide or that free video. And there's a bunch of other fun things that we're going to be sharing with you. So if you like what we have to say, if you're having fun with it, if you're laughing a lot, or if you're like, oh my gosh, you need to talk to this person needs to be a guest, we're going to be incorporating guests in on our show. Anything you have to say to us, you can always hit reply to the emails that we're sending out. You can send us a message. You can comment on our Facebook page.
Share it with your friends.
Yes. Also, share this video. I think especially there's so many women who are so scared to talk about things. And, I can definitely say like I used to be that person too, like embarrassed to like share things and talk about things that were going on in my life and my business and my body. And I've come to a point where it's like my story can help somebody. Like me going through this diagnosis, me going through these medical issues, me whatever, learning more about my body. There's somebody else out there who is going through that journey.
Amen to that. And so share this with people. If you have any other requests for us to talk about, let us know. And we'll keep you posted on when the next episode is. But if you follow us, if you go to opt in to bit.ly/the sparkly unicorn life, we'll link up to it. You'll get access to how to join us live. You'll get like the schedule, any replays, all the fun things. So definitely join us there. And Holly, I get to see you this weekend.
I know. I have a babysitter. I'm so excited.
Speaking about bloody things, we're going to be getting Bloody Marys.
Lexi likes bloody things.
I love bloody things. I love Bloody Marys. So my birthday's on Saturday. I'm going to Chicago for a wedding. And on Sunday, Holly, Michael, Jake, and I are going to brunch and bloodies.
Yes, I cannot wait. I get to see you so soon. Celebrate your birthday with some Bloody Marys. We still have to figure out where we're going to go. And our hubbies are going to meet for the first time. They're going to be like, oh, so she's crazy. Hey.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like they'll like really appreciate the moral support that they can lend each other.
I think so too.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be great.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Go ahead and grab that bit.ly/the sparkly unicorn life because come be a sparkly unicorn with us. It's so fun.
You know you want to. All right. Bye, everybody.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.